I'm Leslie.
And I'm Shelly.
And we are
Sisters in Ebert.
Welcome back for another Movie Monday.
It's still the holiday season around here.
It's the holiday season. The rest of the words. Today's movie is The Preacher's Wife.
The Preacher's Wife.
1996.
Whitney Houston.
Miss Whitney Houston. Yes.
And Denzel.
Denzel
Denzel Washington.
That used to be the joke when we were kids. You couldn't say Denzel Washington. It had to be Denzel.
He was fine.
Everybody could agree on Denzel.
Yes.
So this was a Touchstone Pictures and Samuel Goldwyn movie, which I was like, oh, the old logo coming up. And I said, I remember the Samuel Goldwyn blue logo was also the Chipmunks movie with the Chipettes, that one when we were kids.
Yeah, I remember
with
that.
With the opener. Yeah.
The cartoon.
Yep, the cartoon. So that's what took me back to immediately. We open to clouds and the sky getting closer to Earth. Jeremiah narrates the story.
The cutest little voice in the world.
And let this be known, this was not a summer of movies.
No.
Dad would not. I don't think Dad's ever seen this movie.
No, sorry, Dad. Another one.
Yeah.
That you haven't seen.
So this was a Christmas movie, and they would often show it on TV.
Oh yes, I think that's how we saw it.
That is definitely how we saw it.
It was an afternoon movie.
That
we watched.
And and it had really good music in it. Yeah. Whitney Houston.
I think Mom enjoyed this one.
Oh, I'm sure she
was
did.
always like, the preacher's wife's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I did too.
Oh yeah, we loved it.
Yeah.
And for it's not really like a kids movie.
It's not,
either.
but I think the music's really again. You got the Whitney Houston.
Yes.
It's a Whitney Houston vehicle, so
Yeah.
So Jeremiah is a little boy that narrates a story, and he says that it's true, but no one believes him anyways. And no names have been changed. Whitney Houston is leading the choir in a small but vibrant church, and her father was the reverend, and now her husband is the reverend of this small church.
Daddy has passed on.
Penny Marshall's the director. So Laverne. And the church is struggling to pay the bills with meager offerings from the congregants. It's a poor neighborhood. Yeah.
Ain't that a common theme these days?
I think so. I think this was the beginning of that. Reverend is slightly offended that Whitney used the choir to embellish his sermon. And used one of Whitney Houston's dad's old sermons. He had recycled.
Yeah, she was like, oh, I like it better that you did it. And he was like, well, thanks, honey. And then she's like, sorry, Daddy.
Yeah. She's trying to build her husband up. But
it was a nice little sermon, but you can tell, the Reverend is not feeling his best.
And his heart's not in it.
Yeah. He's during the choir singing, he's sitting there just
rubbing his temple.
Put on a happy face for the congregation.
I know,
sir.
This is your time to shine. Just suck it up for this.
They
this
need
hour.
you. You're their leader here.
Jeremiah asks if his best friend Hakeem can come for lunch. And Hakeem lives with an elderly grandmother, and she's struggling, and the child welfare is taking him soon. So that's
his mama left.
Yeah, we don't know where she is.
Yeah, and then just left him with his grandma, and then I guess she couldn't handle it.
She can't take care of him. Yeah, I guess the services have been called. The Reverend's name is Henry, and he's leaving to say goodbye to the youth at the youth center as it's being closed as well. It was bought and is being, bulldozed for progress.
Yeah, I think this one we learned about the development corporation that's buying up the neighborhood, basically.
Essentially, yeah. The whole house is struggling, and the Reverend's having a crisis of faith. Jeremiah and Hakeem are outside playing as Denzel Washington, whose name is Dudley in this movie, crash lands in the snow. He's an angel. Dudley. So Reverend Henry did say a prayer for help.
Yeah, please God send us some help.
Yeah.
And here comes
Dudley.
Denzel.
Okay, so Joe Hamilton is a businessman, and he's closing the youth center. That's when we find out about that. Yeah.
Okay.
And Dudley meets the Reverend at the youth center as an answer to his request for help from God. Henry doesn't believe that Dudley's an angel.
I didn't remember this part that Dudley straight out tells him I'm an angel. I kind of I don't know, when I was thinking about rewatching the movie, I was thinking it's gonna be him sneaking about doing these sneaky little things as a normal person. Yeah. But no, he's no, I'm an angel. I'm here to help.
Reverend's sure, right, okay. People are skeptical of Dudley as he, well, first, like the Reverend kind of ditches him and just goes about his way. So Dudley's just kind of on his own walking around. People are skeptical of Dudley as he is not mortal and doesn't react like a human, like hot pizza. Like, he gets like a slice of, he's like, oh, I missed this.
You
and
see the steam like come
and
off.
the guy, he just takes a big bite and the guy's like, isn't that burning your mouth? And he's like,
oh,
hot.
yeah.
Oh. Unconvincingly. Dudley has a poor opinion of the Reverend after his first meeting and has his pizza revoked for expressing his opinion because the pizza shop owner was like, you mean this Reverend? He's like, he's got like a photo of him and the Reverend, and like he helped him out of like a tough time.
It becomes evident that Reverend Henry is big in the community. He's helping everybody constantly. He's pulled in a million different directions and he's helping everybody. So he has a really good rapport with the community.
And his family is maybe a little neglected because he's doing so much. Like he's doing the work of a large church being a small church and being just him. Like,
and it's just not possible.
It's not working.
Without support from his few staff members.
Financial and moral support. Like other people who can go out and do these things too. It's just him. There's no associate pastors. There's no, there's a small church board, but that's about it. Jeremiah and his mom are processing Hakeem leaving soon. Jeremiah, I don't think I said, is Whitney Houston and Reverend Henry's son.
So he's the little boy centered in this movie. Yes.
And I said he has a classic 95 era Lion King sheets.
Yes! I immediately saw, I was like, look at those sheets.
I know, yeah.
We had similar ones.
Similar ones, yeah.
Ours were Aladdin.
Yeah, well, you're right. I was thinking they were just the different, because there was like 2 styles of each, I think, that like every kid had back in the day. They must have been like a sale.
You had Aladdin, I had Barney.
Yep. And so the next day we cut to a robbery in progress. It's being witnessed by a young man who is mistakenly ID'd as the perpetrator by the store owner. He's the son of a woman from church, and he was in trouble 2 years ago, and the Reverend helped. He also, so Reverend gets called in again. Now, this boy's name is Billy. Reverend Henry also doubts Billy's innocence.
Yes, because he's like, Billy, I told you.
To stay out of trouble.
Now. He's like, I didn't do this.
He was just returning a videotape, and he just happened to see this.
And he had the receipt in his pocket, and the cops still arrested him. Like,
they weren't listening to him.
No, they weren't hearing it at all. Like, the store owner was just like, that's the guy.
He ID'd him. He claims to have a receipt and clearing him in his pocket. The Reverend is lectured by Saul, a man from the church, that he needs to stop acting like a social worker. Because,
which is true. Like,
that's not his job. He can't do it all.
But Henry can't help himself. He has this desire, this pull on him to do all these things for these people.
Yes. The Reverend's car doesn't start outside the jail, and he asks God for help again, and Dudley reappears and gets the car started. The Reverend still doesn't believe it was him who did it. And Dudley explains missing Earth and that Henry doesn't believe him. He explains the rules, that he cannot do anything Henry should be doing for himself. Everything that Henry does must be of his own free will. And the third is that when he leaves and the mission is accomplished, Henry won't remember Dudley at all. And Henry says, that's my favorite.
I giggled at that moment.
And he's like, there's 3 rules. He's like, that's my favorite. He invites Dudley, if he needs help, to come to his office and shakes Dudley's hand that feels like springtime and mom's cooking all rolled into one.
Yeah, whenever Dudley shakes him, they just, you get this music, this
he's like, and he's just pausing. He's like springtime and mom's cooking all rolled into one, right? Yeah.
And yet he's still doubting. Like at that moment,
man of faith. Yeah.
So, you think you would turn it around? I don't know. I guess I don't take much convincing.
I guess not. Henry claims not to feel it though. So
yeah, he was like, eh.
Yeah. So the choir practice is occurring at the church along with childcare down in the basement. It looks like, or not the basement, but a different area. There's a boiler room basement. And
there's a Sunday school room.
Like classroom area. Henry arrives home to Julia. Julia is Whitney Houston's there.
Julia is
yes,
Whitney.
Yes.
Okay.
To Julia's mother, decorating for Christmas as Joe Hamilton commercials on TV, and invites Reverend to a meeting the next day at the Hamilton office.
Yeah. So Julia's mother is staying with them, supposedly temporarily.
Yeah, for the holiday.
Yeah, but it seems like she's settling in kind of
lengthy. Yeah, she's taking a few liberties that he wants to do himself, but again wouldn't have time to do himself.
Yeah, and she's like getting her nose in everybody's business.
Yes, she is. The boiler blows at the church, and Henry rushes over, but cannot help because it's too far gone. Like they've done so many little fixes for this boiler.
To put a Band-Aid on it, and it's just like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work
this time. It's too shot.
And
water's everywhere.
It's almost Christmas, so it's cold. There's snow on the ground. Yeah.
Hakeem is leaving for foster care the next day. I know. And the Reverend laments his problems. Now, they couldn't get him into a foster care locally, too, so it's a couple hours away, I think she said.
They're like, you can write him letters. We'll help you write to him. He doesn't know how to write yet.
I know, because he's like 5 years old.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, gosh, he can't even communicate with him.
And this is, you can't call because it's long distance. And, he doesn't want to hear Julia's opinions right then. This is Henry. Yeah. Because she's trying to help and he's getting all...
Yeah, he just wants to do everything himself. He doesn't accept the help when he does have an offer for it.
Tension in the marriage is brewing. Yeah. The next morning, as the church secretary arrives, Billy's court hearing is moved to 9:15 a.m. as Henry rushes out. He'll talk after the Joe Hamilton meeting because Julia's trying to talk to him and, about some of their issues that they're having. And
they're trying to communicate. And he's like, I got to go to this. I got to go to this. I got to go to this. Bye.
This meeting.
And
then the court hearing got moved up. So the church secretary's in the pastor's office. Her name is Beverly. And Dudley surprises Beverly, who fears she's being fired. Am I being fired?
Oh, my goodness.
Dudley explains that he's temporary help, and he makes coffee on a machine that Beverly can't figure out. And she's like, no, I'm definitely getting fired. I've been trying to figure that machine out for 3 months. Billy's bail is set at $25,000 and he's kept in the jail. The judge won't hear the Reverend as Hakeem is simultaneously taken to a new foster family. Beverly comes to introduce Dudley to Julia, who believes he must be from the church council. They requested help months ago.
Yeah, he's like, who sent you?
Yeah.
Oh, the big guy.
Yeah,
the big guy or something. They're like, the church council. Yeah.
Dudley introduces himself to Jeremiah, and he fixes a toy ambulance too well, as it never had sirens.
He's like, it's broken. Let me see what I can do. It starts like making the noise. It never did that before. And he quick grabs it like,
it helps him process losing, Dudley helps Jeremiah help to process losing Hakeem, and he teaches him to keep Hakeem through memories.
Which this is what his daddy should have been doing.
Yeah.
And
I thought he wasn't supposed to do things Henry should be doing.
I know. I mean, I guess anybody could do that part, but it should be
a parent.
Your reverend parent, especially.
Dudley is unsure how to work the PC. Windows 95 made it into his instruction book from God.
Yes.
Like there's like a
he turns to in his angel notebook and there's like a sketch of it.
Wasn't it like I didn't write this down. Wasn't it like stained glass kind of looking too?
It was, yeah.
Dudley gave Beverly the day off so that he could work with Henry personally on his and Julia's requests, and like it gave Beverly time to go Christmas shopping for her kids or whatever. Henry remains preoccupied and has trouble listening to Julia. And Dudley does Beverly's job perfectly and escorts the Reverend to the Joe Hamilton meeting. Henry keeps Dudley out of the meeting with rule number 2, which I forget what that was. Do you remember it?
Nothing you can do on your own.
No, that was number 1. Let me see. Number 2 is
free will.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Because he said, I'm going to use that right now.
Yeah. And then church board member, because that's what he said, rule number 2.
Just closes the door in his face.
Church board members are already in the office. It's a coup. As a plan to make a new church in new planned community is revealed in exchange for televising church services, which doesn't sound terrible.
But if
I guess, if you're trying, they're losing the integrity of the church.
It's too far for all
that's
people
right.
to get
That's right.
The community won't be able to attend
and so
because they don't have the transportation.
And they'll lose their church completely then.
Yeah, so it's like now they just have to watch it on TV.
Yeah. Julia's organizing children's Christmas pageant with Who Could Imagine a King song. That was my favorite one.
I love that song.
Me too.
I remember singing it one time on Christmas Eve, like years after this movie came
out.
We obtained the music to be able to sing it.
I said I wanted for our Sunday school play, like, which were always going on when the movie was on. I felt like, we'd be getting ready for our pageant.
Yeah, we were because we grew up in church and our mom was Sunday school teacher, so like we were always in the pageants and stuff.
And it would always be on.
Perfect.
But I always wanted this song to be in ours, and ours never had that kind of good music.
I know we were singing just like a basic hymn. Yeah. We wanted Whitney.
Who doesn't though? So Dudley and Julia are shopping with Jeremiah for Henry about a nightgown in a lingerie shop. Yeah. And Julia explains knowing Henry since birth and that her father did a lot for him to help him get where he is now. So Henry shows up from the Joe Hamilton meeting and Dudley takes Jeremiah shop, which there's a lot going on. Like she's doing the pageant in the middle of the day. Like, and he's still at this meeting, and like they fit all this in before. Like, I don't
know how why don't all these kids go to school?
Right, unless it's a Saturday, maybe. But
why is there court on a Saturday?
That's a good point. There can be, but generally
speaking, it's not a Saturday.
And I doubt Joe Hamilton's having that kind of meeting on a Saturday too. That's a Monday morning special. Unless they have an abnormally long school break, maybe.
Maybe they're supposed to be on Christmas break.
Yeah, it could be.
I could see that. Okay, that makes sense.
We never.
They said it was a week before Christmas.
Yeah, and we never had our school break would be like starting like the day before Christmas Eve.
Like the 23rd.
You'd get after Christmas, not before.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe this is where
an extremely long break. Yeah,
lucky little community here.
I know, right?
As troubled as they are.
How about it? Okay, so. Dudley takes Jeremiah shopping as Henry explains to Julia that he's accepting Joe Hamilton's offer, along with him replacing the boiler of the church, and Julia is against it and says it's a shrine to Joe Hamilton. She's like, you sold out for a boiler? Because it's true, like pretty much all his board members were sitting in there ready to say like, this is what we want.
Yeah, we're doing it.
And like he got outvoted. Yeah. So Julia's upset that he's abandoning St. Matt's Church at St. Matthew's.
And that's like, because that's their whole history. That's her family.
That's her family history. Yeah, exactly.
They grew up there together.
And I think they're going to tear it down as part of this,
it's getting bulldozed.
So Julia believes that her dad, because they're doing this planned community, but nobody who's currently in the community would be able to stay in that community.
Yeah, they won't be able to afford it. They're going to get outpriced.
Julia believes that her dad would have not kept things from her mom, and mom said he always kept church business from her, and that Julia was being unreasonable, which I could see that. I mean,
it was a little both, yeah.
But too, I don't think her dad would like do something like that too.
No, he would not.
And make a big decision like closing the church. I think you'd talk to her mom about
radically, yes.
So Dudley suggests that Henry and Julia go dancing, and Henry is spread too thin, so he has Dudley take her. And this is the point that he needs to work on his marriage.
I was so annoyed at this moment.
Too.
I was like, dude, it's one night.
I was
just
like,
go. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, like
2 hours to save this marriage.
I know, and you can't give her that. Like you've been pushing her off and pushing her off. So Dudley is in awe of Julia's beauty and takes Julia out to a club that she and Henry always went to when they were dating.
Looking good. A little off-the-shoulder black dress.
But it was still, like, tasteful and conservative.
Yes.
Like, she
was
completely
still
covered.
Preacher's wife.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Dudley's dancing is outdated, and Lionel Richie owns the club. His name is Brislow. And he has...
That's Lionel Richie?
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Really?
No.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people in this movie. I think I have it at the end.
I didn't notice.
And he has Julia saying, I believe in you and me, which was another song that I love.
I believe in miracles! the best moment of that movie.
It is.
Whitney belting out that song.
Yep, she nails it, as always.
And everybody's just like, watching her up on the stage, an angel.
Yeah. Henry proposed to Julia at the club, which is named Jazzy's, and is upset that Dudley took Julia there.
Well, you told her.
And she kind of took him there. Like, she's like, this is a good place to go.
Well, like, he said, take her out dancing. How many places are there to go dancing?
And plus, she probably was like, oh, like, this is the only club I know.
This is a comfortable one. Out.
Yeah. Because
they haven't been in a long time.
Yeah. He's also upset that Jeremiah says Julia and Dudley were looking at the nightie in the store window.
Yeah, which I read about a little bit.
And Julia's still angry at Henry for the Joe Hamilton thing. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of
tensions are
building. Yeah. Dudley calls Henry out for not believing in the people of the church, and like succeeding. Dudley accuses for not believing the people in the church will succeed, and that Dudley accuses Henry of being too busy for his marriage and his family and not believing that Billy is innocent. And I said, what's he supposed to do? People ask him for everything. I put as an aside, because it's true.
It is true. Like
everybody wants him to do everything for him.
Yeah, and I guess there's a point you learn to say
no, but
it's also these people are struggling,
and they're relying on him like he's the only resource in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So,
and you want to keep their faith strong, so if they see this, it's like, yes, God is helping me. He's sending me this reverend to help me.
He's using this reverend to help.
Whereas it's getting sucked out of him, like the life is just leaving him, and his faith is dwindling. Well,
he's getting burnt out,
for sure,
because you can't keep that up.
No.
He listens to Dudley and looks Billy in the eye and believes him and urges him to pray. And the Reverend storms into the courtroom, cites the receipt from the ATM as evidence, along with Billy's progress in recent years.
It's also not during
Billy's
hearing.
His hearing.
It's some random guy's hearing. I feel like he would get thrown out.
Oh my gosh,
he
would have been escorted. I don't care who he is.
But I guess they know him in the community, and everybody was like, okay, we'll let him speak.
The judge listens and agrees to release Billy, who says his prayers worked. Mm-hmm. So
another miracle.
Yeah. We cut to Julia and Dudley and Jeremiah, who are ice skating as Henry is stuck in traffic.
Which Dudley is causing.
Oh,
Dudley was making all the lights turn red.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's like a little, and they all flick. So he's trying, because Dudley is falling in love with Julia, which is a no-no in the angel code.
Well, and the bro code.
Yes, but so he was delaying him.
I didn't get that
subtly.
Part. Okay. So Jeremiah, I didn't pick up on that. So I didn't. Yeah, I was writing and watching at the same time.
It was subtle. Yes.
Jeremiah sits out as Julia and Dudley skate. Like, she's like, here, baby, here.
Yeah, he was tired. Yeah.
So they get home, and Julia's mom talks to Julia about getting too close to Dudley, and Mom's the only one with sense.
She says, I'm like, I can look. Like, it was something like, she is aware of how she's acting.
She's also the only one with sense that Henry can't be 10 places at once and wants him to save the church, but doesn't like the work that it takes. And Julia is happy that Billy is home for Christmas. Henry's upset that Dudley went skating with his family, and Dudley is flattered at Julia being interested in him. Because didn't he hear her say that or something like that?
I think Henry said something about it, like, what'd she say?
She's talking about, So Henry tries to fire Dudley, and Julia's upset again. It's a whole thing. Julia's mom and I feel like this could all be really worked out with some communication.
Everybody sit down and have a little meeting here.
Yeah. That could be the therapist in me coming out, but Julia's mom has Dudley walk her across the street so she can call him out on taking liberties with Julia, and puts Dudley in his place about the marriage as well, and what that entails. Dudley touches Julia's mom and gets her to quit smoking.
Yeah, she does the handshake and she gets and just throws a cigarette.
Yeah, because she had been chain smoking the whole time. And you hear her walk across in the neighbor's house, and she's like, I just gave up smoking.
Did you hear I quit smoking?
Dudley and Julia had been bugging her to quit smoking for
the whole movie.
Yeah.
Mama, I told you.
Dudley touches... Oh, yeah. So we got that part. Saul and Beverly, which Saul is that other guy at the church.
Saul, yes. He's a deacon at the church.
Yes. And he's also, like, a driver for, like
a limousine
but
company.
Kind of. Yeah, like transportation company.
Yeah, like one of those buses. Like a party bus.
Yeah. They probably have, like, town cars and stuff, too. Yeah. So Beverly and Saul are interested in each other.
I always like that.
Me too.
So cute.
And, like I said, heavy Whitney Houston soundtrack, as the background music is also Whitney Houston.
So you definitely signed on to this with that in mind.
Henry and Julia reconnect, delivering Christmas baskets to the community, and
fall down together because Dudley makes them fall slip on the ice.
He
and
finally
they
does
fall
what
down,
he's supposed
and they're
to do.
giggling,
and they're laughing because they can't get back up. Henry goes to the church and ponders, and then goes to Joe Hamilton's house after seeing the new boiler was installed in the church basement. He explains that he's reconsidered and he can't leave the church with the people.
It's like, dude, you got a brand new boiler installed. We can't just take that back.
Joe explains that he can make Henry move, and that he bought the church mortgage and will tear it down. So he's like, he can make him move. He doesn't need him to willingly go.
This is Christmas Eve at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
It's Christmas Eve.
The eve before Christmas, maybe. Or no,
because I think Joe Hamilton
you're
says
right, because
it's Christmas Eve.
That's right. Why aren't they having a church service? Like, I know they have the Christmas Day.
I think because they do a Christmas Day.
Okay.
We always were just Christmas Eve and didn't have a Christmas Day, so maybe this
they did both. We just didn't go to both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm surprised. Okay. So Henry asked Joe to come back to the church to see who he'd be hurting and not abandon his people. And then Jeremiah's moved up to a shepherd in the Christmas pageant, not a sheep.
Somebody got sick.
Yeah. And they bring Hakeem to stay until at least the new year. So he's there. To watch.
Which I don't remember how that happened.
I don't either. I think the Reverend called or something.
He made some sort of plea. And, okay.
Yeah.
And did Dudley have a hand in that? Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. If he did, it's not clear.
Okay.
Okay. So now that Hakeem is there, Jeremiah allows his bedroom door to be closed because he always wanted it opened before. Henry is working on his Christmas sermon late, and we'll break it to the church that it's being torn down and revealed as Julia sneaks a peek at the sermon. Like, she didn't realize it either, I don't think. And then,
and like, this is a Hamilton production. Like, they are broadcasting this service, so this is like a big nerve-wracking thing for him too.
Yes. Dudley goes to Joe Hamilton's house late that night as Reverend Christmas Eve as Reverend Biggs' assistant. Oh yeah, okay. Reverend Biggs is Reverend Henry.
Yeah,
like that's the same guy.
Yeah.
And
so he just goes and says, like, I'm his assistant.
Like, yeah, okay, yeah. So this is Dudley, because I was like, wait, he went back there, and I was like,
no,
Dudley did, yeah. So Dudley explains that he's an angel, but not Joe's, as the piano plays on its own. I said, very Scrooge. Like,
So like, he played and then walked away, and it continues to play. But it's a movie mistake because it's not playing the correct notes of what you're hearing.
Yeah. So radio then kicks on with Joe's ad, and it's not plugged in.
Yeah. He's like, oh.
And then Dudley says to look at the real price before the deal is closed, and that Joe won't remember him in the morning. So we cut to Christmas Day service at St. Matthew's. Dudley comes to say goodbye to Julia as he's been called back. He was waiting 30 years for his assignment previously.
And she was like, oh, I'm sure we could talk to the council and get you to stay. And he was like, no, I have to go.
Time to go, yep. Dudley instructs Julia not to let the flame go out with Henry. And Julia breaks the romantic tension to check on the play. Because they're kind of just like
lingering. Didn't she kiss his cheek?
I think so. Yeah. It was very like, remember in While You Were Sleeping, like there was leaning. I saw him leaning on you. That wasn't leaning. Closer. Okay. So Mary, the girl who's playing Mary, leaves before the song because she's wet. Someone used Baby Wet Wet for Jesus. Yes.
She's singing a solo in this production and is like, nah, I'm out. I got dripped on by a doll.
Water.
Like how soap could you really be from this doll?
But a kid probably would do that.
She was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Julia kisses Dudley's cheek.
Okay, there it is.
And goes to fill in for Mary. A grown woman with all these
Yeah,
kids.
she just sneaks on in with the baby doll and it's like singing.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to hear her sing it though. We
we
had to hear it.
Yeah. Henry delivers the sermon and changes it at the last minute as a live service is filmed. He goes off the teleprompter, which
the
is
girl
freaking
is
the girl
freaking
out.
out. She was hired by Hamilton to film it, and she's like, "What do I do?
Produce
I don't know."
He explains that hope and love will help them succeed even in tough times. Joe Hamilton is in the congregation, and Julia watches from the chair during the sermon as Dudley walks out of the building, smiles at Henry's sermon, and explains how angels work in real life. And Dudley hears it from outside and celebrates the revelation. Henry urges the congregation to save the church, which I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's a nice thought.
Yeah, they don't really make it clear
how
they will do this financially, but I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, he says it to give them hope, and then we have a solution.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. My mind's thinking towards the, what's coming.
Yeah, we both got there.
Okay. Dudley goes back to Reverend's house before leaving and briefly changes their wedding picture to him and Julia. And so the Reverend and Julia. Morph into his face. And then you hear like thunder and he's like, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it changes it right back.
Before being admonished by God, Lionel Richie comes back to play the final song, Joy to the World, as Whitney leads the choir and Joe Hamilton feels the spirit.
I just love that this random dude you saw at Jazzy's bar the other night was like, all right, I'll come and play the Christmas morning service.
Maybe he's a Christmas
Maybe, but they made it seem like they hadn't seen him since they left the club. Yeah. So, I don't know.
So, after church, Saul says that he plans to marry Beverly at the church and will stay a member.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Beverly's
like, like she heard it, like he said it clearly, like she was right there.
Yeah. Joe Hamilton says the church will stay and they will work it out how it's going to happen.
Yeah, he's like, come in my office and we'll work out that mortgage.
He's like, come in Monday or whatever.
Yeah, so it sounds like Hamilton is going to help fund this.
So he got the spirit.
He feels changed. Dudley showed him
the Holy Spirit has hit Joe Hamilton.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Dudley compliments the sermon to Henry as neither he nor Julia know who he is.
Yeah, they're like, oh, thank you. And then they walk away, do you know who that is?
No, never saw
must be new.
He must be new guy in the community, yeah. Jeremiah wishes Dudley a Merry Christmas and is perplexed that Mom doesn't remember him.
Yeah, Jeremiah can't. Why can Jeremiah remember?
Because he's a kid. He's oblivious to all this. So they get home to an angel looking like Dudley on the top of the tree.
Nobody finds this strange, this new decoration.
He's just like he doesn't. Well, I guess the ornament has wings, but Dudley didn't have wings. And it was just him in his trench coat.
It's him in his gray trench coat and hat, just on the top of the tree.
He reveals that 1 year later, the Biggs family have adopted Hakeem and now have renewed faith. And that's the end of the movie. I did have a couple things that Reverend Biggs was in The People vs. O.J. Simpson. He played Johnny Cochran. Yeah.
I thought he seemed familiar.
Yeah, he's been in some things. He was also in Dangerous Minds, Office Christmas Party, and Space Cowboys, but I don't remember.
I haven't really seen.
I saw them like in passing, you know. Beverly was in Queen Bees and Waiting to Exhale, Dreamgirls, and What Women Want. She was also in I Am Sam and Urban Legend.
Oh, she's got quite
and she seemed familiar to me too. Like I thought she was in some show, but I couldn't find anything that that stuck out to me. So maybe it was just this movie. Joe Hamilton was in The History of the World Part 1. He was Renaissance Man and The Muppets Take Manhattan, because I thought he looked familiar too. Mm-hmm. And then Julia's mom is Jennifer Lewis.
Wait, that's familiar, but I'm not.
She's Mama Odie in Princess and the Frog. And she's in Sister Act 1 and 2, Castaway. And she's also, I didn't know this until I looked her up, Cars. She's the voice of Flo in all the Cars movies too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so she's Flo
a Disney
and Mama Odie. Yeah, she's Pixar and Disney.
Oh, Mama Odie.
But that's what I got. Do you have
Very
anything?
Nice. I'm trying to remember. So I know that Denzel Washington, his company that he owned, produced this. So like it wasn't him, but it was him.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get Whitney Houston to sign on, and she was like, "No, I don't want to."
Oh.
And so it went like a year, and then he asked again, and she agreed to do it. Yeah, I don't think she wanted. She said she couldn't fit the part. Like she wasn't the preacher's type of wife.
But isn't she a preacher's daughter in real life?
I have no idea.
I think she is.
But she said like she couldn't.
so she could do
like
that.
She wasn't
going
to be able to do the role, but then she changed her tune and agreed to do it.
Maybe when they agreed to put all her music in it.
I'm sure she got a hefty paycheck for this.
Yeah.
And then she also later, I think it was on Oprah Winfrey's show, she talked about it and said that her drug and alcohol problem had gotten so bad at this point that she was like doing drugs every day they were filming. So she's high like the whole movie.
I wouldn't have thought that from this.
There was a couple like moments where it was like she seemed kind of not down, but just like not like fully in the role. Right, I don't know.
Right.
Not in a bad way. Like,
and maybe she wasn't high there. Maybe she was coming down.
Yeah, maybe. But it was just something like not as energetic as it could have been.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Jeez, I had no idea. I didn't know that was at this point. I thought that was later.
Yeah. I think this was like the starting of the tipping point. So
that's a bummer.
Yeah.
That puts a downer on this movie.
All right. But she sang beautifully.
She did. She was able to keep up, her role and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah, and nobody reported that she did a poor job or anything. Like she was professional enough to get through it all. It's just she later admitted that that's how it was. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and the church where they filmed it was a Methodist church.
Okay.
And I forget where it was.
It looks like maybe Chicago or something.
I think it was Pennsylvania. I think it was like Philly or something. Like
maybe
ish
area.
I might be wrong.
I can see that.
Yeah, but then so the church agreed to do it because they needed updates. And so as the production came in, they pay you rent when they're using your property. Yeah. And so
did
like
they get a new boiler?
They did. They needed a new boiler, and that was one of the things that they got from it. So, like,
did they work that in the script because they needed?
No, it was part of the script already. Because I think that's part of because this is based on The Bishop's Wife. And from the 40s, I want to say 1945.
And it was a movie, was it? Like or like a short or something?
It was a movie.
Yeah,
it was a movie.
I was gonna say I don't think it's a book.
And it's very the storylines basically
the same.
So, and I think that's part of it then too. Like I think it has a hand in it. But so they changed a lot of the inside to make it look more like a Baptist church because that's what they were supposed to be. And then they changed it back at the end, but they did updates like new carpet and new things because they had changed it. So
nice.
Yeah, they made out on the deal too.
They did. Yeah, everybody it worked out.
But yeah, I think that's all my funish facts.
Well, that was pretty cool. But like I said, this was one that we really liked watching as kids.
I loved it. I was excited to rewatch it because I hadn't watched it in a few years. Yeah, and it was like, I remember loving it.
It does. It gets you in the spirit of the season.
It is very Christmassy because it's cold and wintry looking, and they're doing Christmassy things.
Yep, and it's that whole like week before Christmas, everything's hectic prep.
Yeah.
And that's probably why the grandma made such a big deal too that the tree wasn't like done yet.
Oh yeah, because it's like it's happening right here.
But have you seen this movie? Are you familiar with this one?
I feel like it is a little more obscure.
It's getting there. I feel like it was popular when it came out.
Yes, yeah.
And then now it's just kind of
everybody loved
faded
it.
off. Yeah. Which is a shame because like it's part of her legacy. Like,
and it is a good film.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
It holds up.
I think so too. Yeah. And I think it's still pertinent. Like it's like something that could still happen today.
Yeah, and like there's your main players, but there's a lot of like cute ensemble characters too. So.
Yeah, great ensemble. They did a good job.
Yeah. Feel good movie for the season, so I recommend it.
Yes. Do you believe in miracles?
We'll meet you at Jazzy's. Right?
Yeah, Jazzy's.
But we thank you for joining us this week for another Christmas movie. If you look down in the description for this film, all of our links to our social media are down there. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Sisters and Ebert. And please like and subscribe and follow us on all the stuff. On YouTube as well, if you ring the bell notification, you'll get all the updates when we post things. And, if you please like and comment on our video, like that's part of the traction that helps keep this little channel going. So we really appreciate your help.
It'll give us a really Merry Christmas.
As we'll be approaching our 1 year soon.
Oh my gosh.
In like
a month away.
Yeah.
To our anniversary.
We'll have to have a spectacular. Our 1 year.
Our 1 year anniversary spectacular.
But we thank you for all the support and your encouragement and your views. And we'll see you next Monday at the movies.